Hello, I'm Sandy Allnock, and I don't know if you know this, but January is apparently Get a Balanced Life month. And to me, a balanced life includes a whole bunch of things, but one that it has to have is art. And I thought while I was working on this piece, I would share it with you along with my 10 favorite things about making art. And maybe you can add some of yours in the comments down below. One of mine is grabbing one of my favorite supplies, and it changes from day to day. This particular day, I got such a kick out of using my lead holder pencil. I love this thing. When it gets really sharp, that tub sharpener will just really get it to be a laser point. And when I was going to be working with colored pencil, I knew I wanted to have really detailed lines in here so I could really get into the fine detail with the colored pencils. And this really did a good job. And it took me so long to transfer the drawing, but I just felt happy while I was doing it. And I hope that's how you feel when you make art. But in this video, I'm going to share my other 9 favorite things about making art. Another favorite thing is preparing for success. There's a bunch of things that you can do to make your art piece work out better. And I find if I prepare for it, like here, I'm getting rid of the excess pigment that's sitting on the surface of the paper because graphite kind of sits there, floats. And then if you color it with a medium, often you'll drag that graphite around on the paper. And so there's just something very relaxing about knowing that I am setting myself up for success when I just prepare properly. And it's just a relaxing part of the process, just watching my lines go away. Number 3 is the first color that goes down. And on this one, I wasn't positive what my colorway was going to be. I just knew there was going to be a flower in the center. I grabbed a magenta pencil, and that was met with a little bit of stress. And, you know, every bit of art has its stress with it. So I'm going to divert from my joy for a minute because there's no pink in the set of Derwent pencils. I was hoping that magenta, I hadn't gone out my hex chart, so I didn't take a chance to look at it. I just grabbed it and it was not pink, which is what I was hoping it was. So I used that magenta color as a shadow and grabbed a Prismacolor pencil. But hey, that's another source of joy because there's always another pencil that we can use. There's always another supply around somewhere, right? So I'm just thankful for all of the colors that we have available to us. And number 4 is colorways. I started really thinking more deeply here. I didn't plan ahead. Like I said, maybe not the smartest idea, but I got some yellows going and some teal colors. And I also wanted to pull in some of the pink and the orange from the flower and carry it around the whole piece. But I wanted it to be a limited colorway anyway. And so I chose to kind of start diving into the yellows, oranges, and that kind of thing so I can get all those warm colors in and then surround them with some cool colors. But before we go further, I want to share a word from our sponsor, which is a brand new class. Design Motifs is a level 3 class in drawing at art-classes.com. And I say drawing, not coloring, because you're going to draw your own designs. I'm going to teach you how to do that, how to adapt it by creating something that is similar in 2 different designs side by side, and then showing you a bunch of different ways you can adapt different elements of the design to whatever you want to create. Hopefully, when you're all done with this class, you'll be combining lesson 7 with lesson 2, or the style in lesson 3 with the design in lesson 10. And you can combine them in myriad ways. Each lesson has these 2 examples, and we'll do them first in pencil, and then we'll firm up some of the ideas in pen and ink. And then you can go and do whatever kind of coloring you want with them. I'll be showing you a demonstration with just a portion of each piece. This is not focused on the coloring, but I want to give you a little sampling of different mediums that are out there in case you don't know about them, or some techniques you might not know from those mediums. And you can get an idea how you want to color your own go your own way and throw out all of my ideas if you want. I am super excited to see how students take this information and go forth and design all kinds of beautiful things. What would you use these on? Would you put them on cards, scrapbook projects? Would you draw it on your wall? Wouldn't that be fun to be able to design your own custom images to put on your own walls in your home and make it something perfectly suitable for you? The pre-class lesson has all the supplies for the drawing portion, but then also the things that will be used in the coloring portions. But you don't have to do any of the coloring. You can color them in whatever you like, but I'll be showing you a few supplies that you might be interested in. So I do hope you'll join me for this class. I cannot wait to see what you're going to come up with. And there's, of course, a link to the class in the doobly-doo down below, along with all the supplies that you're seeing in this video for the design motif that I am working on today. All right, my next thing that is one of my favorites, and if you've been watching my channel long enough, you know that, is contrast. And as soon as this piece got to the place where I could add the contrast, I wanted something around this leaf shape that would be nice and dark and set it off, make it pop to the surface. Oh my goodness, my little heart soared. Because as I said, I didn't have a solid plan. I didn't know which pieces were going to be colored in which colors. I just kind of had a vague idea what I wanted, and I wanted the overall piece to be very dark with pops of really bright color. So that made me very happy. Another thing I love to do is graduated or gradated multicolor blends. When a color goes from one to another, I started with kind of a reddish color, moved to pink, have some oranges in there, and then yellows at the top, just to make these things that feel like peacock feathers that had inspired me, to make them bright and be the brightest part of this, and also reflect the colors that are in the flower in the center and the leaves around the side. But I also wanted to keep everything else feeling kind of dark, so I needed this to be nice and intense, and lots of layers always do that. Special techniques also kind of make me smile on the inside, and drawing with an eraser was just a fun one to pull out of my toolkit. I just colored this background portion with a nice dark blue so that the color that is pulled out of it when I use the electric eraser is not white, but it's a lighter version of that same color. I'm also a big fan of line work, and including some line work in here in the feathers was just kind of fun to do. In everything else that's blended, having something that has a very linear effect to it that I can surround with color so I won't have that frayed fuzzy edge, but outlining all of those little bits of the feather just made them pop by having the contrast. And then we have, again, more soft layers, and layer upon layer upon layer that just keeps getting more intense. And it doesn't happen with all mediums, but it happens a lot with colored pencil. You do that by not pressing really hard all the time, because once you start pressing hard, you start building up too much color. The idea is to try to get your pencil really sharp and fill in all the white gaps in between all of that color, and that's what's going to intensify it by getting rid of the whiteness in there as much as possible. And then last but not least, number 10 is adding dimension. And here I'm just putting some dark color under and around that central flower so that that flower looks like it's almost a knob sitting on top of the design motif, popped up high, so that it just gives the whole thing a real big sense of three-dimensionality to it. And then I went through with the dark teal pencil and just pushed some other areas in the center back with just a little bit darker teal color so that it emphasizes the fact that that center portion is popped up. So that's my list of today's top 10 things that give me a balanced life by making art. What are your top things? What makes you happy? What brings you balance, especially in art? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below this video. And while you're down there, hit the like button because that means a whole lot to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you in the Design Motifs class. You can check it out by looking at the link. If you tap the word more, then it will appear in the doobly-doo down below, along with the supplies that I used to make this design motif. And I will see you again in a couple of days with some more creativity. My phonology wheel review is coming up on Saturday. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.